The chapter starts with system message saying that Tower of Trials reboot version have been updated. The protagonist clears his breath and reminds himself to keep himself calm. And if the Tower of Trials has become a reality, he can't waste time like this. In his mind, he knew a place where he could get a particular item, so he needs to hurry. Jin-hyuk came out of the front door and sprinted straight down the road. He was out of breath as he crossed the road and climbed down the stairs. In this new reality, the world might end, but despite that, Jin-hyuk's heart was pounding out of excitement. Then the scene shifts to City Central. Here the crowd of people are already panicking. People are running here and there in chaos. Someone is trying to book a fastest train to Busan. Another guy shouts that fleeing to Busan is not enough, we have to get out of Korea. Another person shows a live feed of foreign country where Tower of Trials have appeared. The fact is Tower has appeared all over the world and no country is safe. So where can we go? No matter what happens, as long as it's not in Seoul. In midst of this chaos, we can see Jin-hyuk running towards an Central Underground Mall. Standing in front of Underground Mall staircase, our protagonist thinks that most of people trying to escape from Seoul because they are anxious, as a natural instinct of all living things to fear the unknown. However, in crisis there is opportunity. Now is not the time to run, but the time to move forward. While going down the escalator, protagonist recalls that in the Korean server, this area outside the tower was chosen as external zone in the whole country. There are about 30 such areas. The reason he chose this place among them was because it was the closest. In Underground Mall, system message appears informing the protagonist that he is now entering an event zone. Jin-hyuk narrowed his eyes by looking at dozens of people present round the fountain. He knew just by looking that these people here are the ones who played the beginning of the Tower of Trials. Everyone present were glaring at each other without uttering a word. The situation was tense because the items that will appear here soon are in limited quantities. If we are lucky, we might get 5 at most. Then the scene changes to person calling protagonist from behind, asking if he is Jin-hyuk Kang. It's a voice protagonist have heard before. When Jin-hyuk turned his head, he saw a tall man with his hair dyed yellow. It is Lee Young-soo. Lee Jun-soo confirms that it is Jin-hyuk Kang. Young-soo is surprised that Jin-hyuk is here because protagonist does nothing but play Tower of Trials game all day locked up in a room. Lee Jun-soo approached with a grin. Lee Jun-soo is a Paprika TV partnered streamer with 50,000 subscribers on YouTube, and also he is CEO of the company that once our protagonist belonged to. Jin-hyuk asked what was Jun-soo doing here, as at the usual time of his live streaming. Jun-soo replied with a smile that being here is better than live streaming. Then Jun-soo asked Jin-hyuk Kang on what floor of game he reached in Tower of Trials. Jun-soo further adds we should gather the secret information of Tower of Trials together as a former co-worker. Hearing nonsense as being called a former co-worker infuriated our protagonist. Jin-hyuk still remembers that Lee Jun-soo company was the one that tricked many live streamers into slave contract. The more the streamers did live broadcast, the more money they lost to Lee Jun-soo. If someone tried to protest, their voices were shut down by company's lawyers. Due to this fraud, Jin-hyuk Kang's best friend, which he knew from the beginning, left the streaming industry in tears. Pulling Jin-hyuk's shoulder, Lee Young-soo continues the conversation, saying that he knows our protagonist is good at games. On top of that, he does mukbang videos. Young-soo suggests rewriting the contract to be on better terms with our protagonist. Disgusted with all these, Jin-hyuk in anger hits Young-soo's face with his head with such a force that 2 of his teeth breaks and falls on the floor, and blood starts to come from his mouth. And calling Young-soo in anger, Jin-hyuk warns him not to talk so casually as if they are friends. Protagonist felt great by showing Young-soo his place. After dealing that, protagonist turns towards the fountain and recalls that it's time for it to show up. The scene shifts towards fountain where we can see bubbles forming in fountain water. Then suddenly a jet of water get thrown in air. Tree started emerging from the fountain. And in no time a large tree rose in front of everyone. Everyone got excited by the sight of large mangrove tree. Protagonist was happy as everything was happening the same as that happened in Tower of Trials game, and as he remembered, everything felt as if it was a dream. Then system notification appears saying that the mangrove of greed has appeared. Those fruits that were ripe enough to eat had the effect of raising strength, agility, stamina, and mana stats respectively. It is a good item. That is an undeniable fact. The problem is, that number of fruits are only 4 while there are a lot of competitors. It is going to be a tough battle. The advantage of being able to raise stats in the early stages was a factor that could never be compromised. Everyone rushed towards tree, shouting that the fruit is mine. Soon, the central city underground shopping mall was turned into a chaos with people climbing and pushing others away. In anger, Lee Jun-soo threw away napkin with which he was wiping blood, and cursed protagonist for not working together and splitting the fruit. This way they both could have benefited. But the chance have gone, and now both of them are not gonna get fruit to eat to increase the stats. Our protagonist orders Lee Young-soo to stop talking as clearly he doesn't know shit, as now is not the time to act and rush to grab fruit. Okay guys, I have to finish today's video. Please subscribe to my channel for new chapters. Leave a like if you enjoyed video. And subscribe to keep supporting me.